It's small Paul. If I were given the option to be immortal, of course I would take it. I would use my newfound powers for evil. Absolutely for evil. I am not the guy to solve world peace. I would commit crazy atrocities on numerous people for the sake of my own enjoyment. But eventually, my mortal body would present certain difficulties. As I am, I would say that I am the pinnacle of human evolution. Ignoring my poor eyesight, my 4-foot-tall frame packaged in 70 pounds, and my 4 wisdom teeth, I am an absolute unit. Add on immortality, and no one would be able to contest me. But in the 3,047,059th century, humans will have evolved, no doubt to counter my reign of terror for the past time immemorial. I suspect they'll develop such defenses as octopus arms, harpoon noses, mind control eyes, tangling rope-like hair, bird arms, bone claw toes, eviscerative guts, human arms still, but like crazy jacked, and likely more advancements my feeble 21st century mind could not comprehend, without even mentioning the evolutions to technology. My wish for immortality would likely leave me unchanged for millions of years as the world progresses past my fossil, encased in amber, unable to compete in the vicious new climate. So, before I accept the offer... Sorry, were you a genie this whole time? Is this a whole monkey's paw situation? Alright, I'll trust you for now. As I was saying, before I accept this deal, I need to know what the best way for me to be immortal is, and more importantly, find all the weaknesses of immortality. I could scour through scientific journals, research cutting-edge bionics and gene therapy, parse through philosophical arguments for prolonging my life, but I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. I want to be lazy. So instead, I'll use my quantum temporal probe, which I have stashed away in my basement, to look into all my possible futures to determine what failures immortality may provide. What was going on at the beginning of the video? Don't mess this up for me, man. I need to maintain the suspension of disbelief. In this possible future, I'm a farmer? What happened to my plans for the world? Let's skip a couple thousand more years into the future. I see myself no longer a farmer, and not trapped by evolved human advances. In this future, I lived for so long that my memories have begun to trick me. I've forgotten who I am, my plans for world domination. Instead, I've become a husk, unable to die, but also unable to remember who I was. Even if I were able to store such information adequately, why would I need such memories? Here's another future, where my memories are somehow maintained. Perhaps I've stored my memories onto digital hardware, upgrading my mind into a cybernetic masterpiece. But I still seem to have trouble taking over the world. It looks as if I keep getting distracted by the minuity of life. Particularly, it was about that one vivid memory of that time I ate a taco. To be fair, it was a pretty good taco. However, I have too many memories in this future, and that clouds the other far more important memories I need to rule the world. Keeping that memory of my favorite taco doesn't do much for the immortal King Titan me, especially not when I am forced to retain the thousands of tacos, the millions of pizzas, and the dozens of human bodies that are left permanently etched into my mindscape. This strain of immortality would leave myself as the biggest adversary to my own plans for world domination, forced either to relive all my worst moments or unable to recall the most important of them. In another future, I see myself, but in the early stages of my master plan. I've assembled a group of my close friends who I can trust with my secret to immortality and my plans for a new world order. With my intelligence Very Mary's participation, Glory Dory's participation, Super Duper's participation, Seven Kevin's participation, and my own original character's participation, we stand a good chance at taking over the world. This future seems without consequences, and I feel no problem with this reality. Again, we move further into the future, and now we see the problem. I have ascended to my throne, but my palace seems empty. 3 years ago, the last of my brothers have died, and through their sacrifice, I have become the king of the world. But now I stand alone, without the companions that led me here. In this reality, the highs and lows of my victory are tasted. I become king, but soon am ousted without my most ardent of supporters to secure me. I find new companions to aid me, but without immortality of their own, they are left to die as I carry on, forced to leave their legacies behind, as their fleeting years merely speck my eternal, long-lasting life. These futures trouble me, but I am unable to look away. If there is any way to find security in my immortality, I must find it. I force myself to dive into another reality. Once again, I've taken the role of a farmer, absent-mindedly farming as my plans lay forgotten. Perhaps this is another instance of my memories fading. I look 1,000 more years into this timeline, and yet I continue to attend to my farm. My mind does not seem broken, however. What could have caused me to reject my dream and pursue this elegy to unremarkability? Skimming through this timeline, I've discovered the culprit of my sloth. Having lived for millions of years, time is meaningless to me. Spending 10,000 years farming for me is tantamount to that weekend spent getting into stained glass, only to give up on it the next day. Through this reality's infinite time spent, I've ruled over the universe with an iron fist for 99.99% of this inadequate time the rest of reality desperately clings onto. But that 0.01% of my life equates to an infinite downtime spent dawdling for trillions upon quintillions of years. Perhaps to an immortal being, this change comes naturally to them. But before my ascension, these infinite decades of floundering seem incomprehensibly egregious. Would my infinite time not be better used finitely achieving perfection for as long as finity lasts? Finally, I arrive at the last flavor of destruction to an immortal. Or perhaps I am unable to look further into the multiverse to parse out the infinite tastes of an infinite possibility. And that is the paradox of the infinite life. A one that lives forever infinitely experiences everything infinitely. Even if I gain some immortality, the infinite enclave of life requires the infinity of my deaths. What future could I look at as an example when there are infinite deaths that come about for the immortal man? In this one of infinite, I succumb to the nemetic amphitheater, a device that entangles the real world and the conflict-ridden realm of entertainment, where no happy endings exist for the villain of my caliber. With this device, I am locked within a storybook world, a relic of entertainment for the people to look upon as a reminder of poorer times. Forced within a story written and ended, my immortality is functionally over, and to the world I once sought out, I am nothing more than the countless peons who've stepped onto this rock and left just as soon. In this one, the perfect impossibility occurs, and by some sheer cosmic coincidence, my fate was sealed. A stray dog laid its tracks in my way, and I had accidentally stepped onto it. That caused me to slip, and I somehow ended up pantsing the Prime Minister of Further America during peace talks. This causes the talks to go awry, and he declares war on me. Seeing a moment to escape my clutches, leaders of every world government, including my own, declare their allegiance to Further America, and I am forced to single-handedly fight off every militia on the planet, waging a true one-man war. In this battle, a rookie soldier manages to shoot a bullet, which pierces through my tank and lodges the bullet within my head. That bullet embeds itself into my brain, hitting a nerve and temporarily paralyzing me. In my frozen stupor, I lose control of my tank. The platinum bronze uranium core explodes and wins me the war. But years later, I develop a tank-based cancer that quickly debilitates me. The tank cancer evolves into hypertank cancer and further weakens me. Finally, a passenger plane fails and ends up crashing into me after my war spent all of the world's preeminent passenger plane fuel, platinum bronze uranium. The impact of the plane and my cancer manages to kill me in some kind of Rube Goldberg machine of misfortune. Even the most unlikely events, given an infinite number of years, will occur, and this reality happens to occur in more universes than I would like to see. In this one, I am done in by a simple bullet. Even the most unlikely of events, given an infinite number of years, will occur. Given infinite time, I will experience infinite death, despite the infinite immortality. All of these are in exchange for the pros to immortality. Once again, I'll look into my temporal needle and see the virtues of immortality. Long life. These are the 5 pillars in my path to immortality. The 5 elements, shackling me under a mountain of punishment for defying the gods and pursuing immortality. If I were to best these calamities, I would need to learn to defeat them, cultivate myself to transform into the victorious fighting immortal that could contest these 5 calamities and secure divination within myself. Even if I were to solve the mystery of immortality, I would still need to solve the mystery of monarchy. The longest rulers of history, such as Louis XIV, Elizabeth II, and Rama IX, only managed to seize for some 70-some-odd years, no doubt capped by exceptionally short lifespans. But I wonder how far the limits go. 14? 2? 9? Is there a kernel of an idea forming there? After minutes mulling over my decision, I came to a conclusion. This idea has enough merit to concede an effort. Immortality may yet be in my grasp yet again. Shaped by my own mind and assistance from a genie of unknown allegiance, I execute my plan to seize immortality. I begin by finding a protege to whom I can impart my knowledge into. I teach him about the 5 calamities, the humans of the future, the husked remains of my immortal body, the infinite loneliness eclipsing immortality, the long stretches of waste made into infinitesimal shards of blinked time, and the looming presence of assured death. My aspirations seep into him as he becomes more and more like I am, and soon my conscience resides in 2 separate bodies. The weakness of my body matters not when my flesh grows anew within this new host. My protege becomes host to a new identity me, and when my master dies, he can ensure that the immortal plan is working. He begins by preparing a new disciple, training her in the same ways that I had been trained. She fights against my cause, but eventually she joins me as my new host. I begin work on the perfect echo effigy, a new scriptures combining art, books, experiences, and values that distill my essence into a single source that, upon absorbing, allows me to manifest within them. Time passes, customs change, and as new ideas and beliefs merge into my mind, the core of who I am remains protected by the perfect echo effigy. I continue to propagate, spreading the perfect echo effigy and expanding my reach. I become 4, then 8, then 16, a countless hive mind of backups and networks of agents. Each cycle, I elect a single most representative of me, recruit them as king, a being who exists and has existed for as long as I will, a being whose desire is only satiated upon conquering the 5 calamities and ruling over the world. I stand upon a nation of me, ready to serve me. Beneath the peons, unthinking through the world, my many cells lie in wait. When my host body dies, it is quickly replaced by another one, learned from the mistakes of its predecessor. These cells exist in hibernation, waiting among the unthinked ones, leeching information and news to supply to my host mind. The immortal flesh serves me well, and I continue my purge throughout the lands. To secure my dominion through each cycle, I use relics to notarize my power, shifting my perfect echo effigy into these relics, transferring my kingdom to each new body of mine, and proclaiming my might across the cosmos. I fashion a crown from my immortal flesh, and it sits upon my head, looking out upon the world as proof of my immortal body. My cape is made from the horns of my enemy, each horn a world leader that existed at one point within the true, meaningful time that I have claimed. Each horn the culmination of each life I've held, utilized to its perfect extent. Finally is my sword. It serves little to no purpose for real battle, having been rusted and blackened for 10,000 years. But the blade serves no other than me. The sword itself transforms those who wield its powers, beckoning its master to accept and become me. And now I stand, triumphant in the 3,047,059th century. Are the virtues of my perfect echo effigy lost upon you? Can you not see how this solves the issues of the 5 calamities and more? I need not my temporal probe to prove it to you, because I have lived through each of these calamities, and I have conquered every single one. This is the truest form of immortality, an immortality that exists not as a facade, but realizes as the true immortality. In a world of advanced humans and their adaptations, I need not worry, for I too can now evolve. My immortal body is now equipped to transform just the same. So I would in turn develop oily secretions from my skin to loosen the grip of enemy tentacles, large shields grown from hardened eyebrows to deflect harpoons, a metal skull to repel mind control attempts, crab claws to cut off grasping hairs, grape-flavored arms to dispel birds, hardened stump legs to resist legged attacks, vacuum nostrils to absorb and safely contain stray gut attacks, and even more jacked arms to defeat any opponent in arm wrestling. In any way, any adaptation that one may grow to advantage against me, my immortal flesh is no longer the same weak chains that exist today. I grow stronger each passing cycle, and the static calamity becomes an afterthought, the perfect predator of a bygone era, unable to compete with today's top threats. The calamity of mind is easily bypassed, and by now, the genius of my plan is revealed. With each generation, I can pick and choose what is necessary to uphold as fundamental principles of my perfect echo effigy. Gosh, this perfect echo effigy is a bit of a mouthful, huh? I might have to shorten it. My P is the elixir of life, granting my immortality, and it trickles down to each of my infinite bodies. I am at no risk of losing my memories because the most core of my ideals are drilled into the minds of each of me within each cycle. But on that same coin, I hold no memory in high regard. No memories are held sacred, and the most egregious of them can be easily wiped clean from my slate, narrowing my mind to focus on what matters most. In each generation, I physically adapt to combat the static calamity, and at the same time, I hone my mind, adopt new ideas, and discard such memories that have already served their purpose. The calamity of mind then becomes as simple as picking and choosing what clothes are no longer in fashion and which new ones to purchase. For you, time is not a currency you can waste. But is the time I spent wasted? Felt like time well spent to me. The calamity of one is not solved by the endless stem cell me's that lie in the shadows. Solving this calamity is not as simple as looping a game of telephone around myself. What I would be the first of many immortal beings. When I emerge as the Titan King I am, over time, people would see the might I have accrued, and they would seek to imitate my powers. Various organizations would emerge, all trying to copy the fruits of my labor and steal my P, the blueprint behind my immortality. Phonies like the Further America's replication tableau, the prescient immortality sublimation strategy, among a host of other pretty unfunny namesakes. In time, they would develop similar immortal bodies, and soon the world will be inhabited by more than one, and I would no longer be alone. Unfortunately, what I've done is pull the rug under you, trapped you in my ruse, betrayed your trust, tricked you. For you see, I did attempt this, but the results were less than satisfactory. I may have aided their immortality, but in the end, they were less than reluctant to join my cause, and they chose to rebel against me. In the end, this experiment was deemed a failure, and I moved on to brighter prospects. But the solution, the real solution, was there all along, and it was really quite simple. The calamity of one is not a problem unique to immortal beings such as myself. In reality, this exists as a calamity for all living beings, regardless of whether they need to come together to mate or benefit from cooperating for food. There are no truly solitary beings. The fear of losing those close to me was one felt even in my imperfect form. Now it is magnified to a degree clearly illuminated to all, but the answer lies within the texts from the imperfect world. Making friends? Get over it? Does one shut themselves off from others in fear that they may lose them? And when that happens, does one not tell the error of that judgment, feeling the manifestation of that wrong bubbling up inside of them as sadness? A life that eclipses all others and leaves them alone at the end of the universe may be a sad existence. But when the value of each relationship brings more happiness than the melancholy of their death, then one would be happier knowing that the relationship existed at all. Unlike any of the other calamities, the calamity of one is an issue that all living beings face, and one that is solved by the perspective of the mind rather than forcing my immortal body to change. The issue of infinity problems in that no one solution can overcome infinite possible ways to die. My master contingency plan of wearing 14 bulletproof vests at any given moment doesn't account for a whole host of other ways to ensure my survival, particularly hyper platinum bronze uranium armor-piercing rounds, which can shoot through even 14 layers of bulletproof armor. This only really shows an issue in monologuing my grand plan. I cannot flaunt every masterful tactic I have developed as I normally would, and those following in my footsteps must distinguish their own unique path to survive infinity. This is because the solution to the calamity of infinity means I simply need more options to ensure my survival, infinite ways to propagate my consciousness to survive infinite events of infinite time. A simple expression of one of these solutions lies in the fragmentation of my perfect echo effigy. Undoubtedly, throughout infinite time, some faction of my immortality would choose to fragment itself from the main body, developing into a new, different me. Likely, both immortals would choose to fight over the right to rule the world. But what does the outcome matter? Either way, the winner will emerge to be me. And when I have fragmented into countless shards scattered across, the means of my death become even more difficult than my immortality already permitted. The real power of this comes from my ability to change. Having conquered the static calamity and the calamity of the mind, I am prepared to morph into the most alien of existences while still maintaining my identity. In the way that dinosaurs live on through birds, the transformed astral perceptoid being I evolve into still lives on as me. To any sane person, a bird is not a dinosaur, but the DNA stored inside its feathered wings proves its lineage. The new me, carrying vestiges of my DNA and my mind, no doubt proves its royalty and the continued existence of me. I will continue to live on, and even if the calamity of infinity strikes down an immortal body, I will have changed so much, expanded so much, that no such destruction will truly befall a me that exists immortality in every context. I'll make another admission. I've been lying to you again, but this whole time. No, I'm not secretly good. I am really that evil. The thing I've been lying to you about is in my immortality. I must admit, I didn't come up with this myself, for this type of immortality has already existed for a long time. This is a type of immortality called being fast and loose with my definitions. If you haven't caught on yet, this is basically just describing parenting, like full stop. Imagine you're a parent and you decide to have a child. What happens to that child? They naturally grow up into basically you. You instill values onto them. Maybe sometimes they rebel, but they are still undeniably derivative of you. When you die, they are remnants of your legacy, and they carry on the beliefs and traditions that you once held. They may not be literally you, but they do happen to take on your ideals, your looks, even sometimes part of your name. When people are pitted in similar circumstances as you, two can bond through shared experiences that output similar identities. Those that go against what you stand for still undergo similar revelations to you, creating similar beings who may perhaps interpret the world differently. I took that and through vaguely disguised metaphors, acted like it was all some kind of mystical sci-fi ritual that transmitted my consciousness into a different body, when it's more like when you say that you've become your parents. I am the immortal Titan King within that reality. But in this world, the real world, look behind you, I can still attain my goal of becoming the immortal god. Look one more time into my temporal needle and see what being immortal means to me. Yeah, I think I'd be okay with being immortal.